So I've been sick the last week. Probably the most sick I've been for a really, really long time. I had this awful flu. I'm just coming out of it now, so I took a whole week off. I don't even tell. I'm still struggling to speak. I didn't do the podcast, so I'm going to try and do that today. I don't know if I will, but I thought I'd show you my little morning routine and what I've been up to. So I try to get up early. I didn't today because I'm trying to recover, but I usually get up early. Unless I'm touring, then I'll try and get up late so that I don't get tired by the time the show starts. But when I'm not touring, I like to get up at 6, where possible. So I usually just have a glass of water with some aminos and electrolytes in it. And then I'll put, just get fish tablets, vitamin D3, citicoline, which is goated if you know about citicoline, a bit of zinc, and I've just added some SAMe, which is along the same vein of citicoline, and dude, it makes me sharp in the morning. Because what I do after this is I just sit and I read for a little bit while I have my water, and then I just go straight to local cafe with the dog, and I write 3 pages every single morning. I follow the morning pages routine from The Artist's Way, which is a book that changed my life and continues to change my life because I keep up the routine and the habit of writing 3 pages every single day, no matter what. That's a lie. I didn't do it very much the week I was sick because I couldn't get out to the cafe because I was sick. But that's all right. We take sick days. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to have these, and then I'm going to read. What am I reading at the moment? Let's find out. Currently reading the 25 Rules of Grammar, the Essential Guide to Good English, because I've been thinking more and more that I would like to write a book, and then I thought, I'm not super confident with my grammar. So I just picked this up. It's a really simple book. It's just going over the basics again. Just telling you what all of the different types of grammar is and the words for them. And, I know what an apostrophe and a full stop is. But there are other terms I'm not aware of and why they're used. What's actually interesting about this book is that this was published really long time ago, pre AI, but it kind of reads a little bit like AI, not because of the writing style, but because the grammar is perfect. The guy's obviously writing a book about grammar, so he's being incredibly particular to make sure that all of the grammar and everything's in the right spot, and he's using those M dashes appropriately, but that makes it look like AI because it's perfect. So interesting that reading this and picking up on absolutely perfect grammar has made me go, well, maybe I don't want to be too perfect, because the more perfect and the more you adhere to the rules, the less you and authentically yourself you sound like, Because I read this other book just before this one called, I've got to go there, it's called On Writing by Steven Zinzer. And the whole book is essentially him repeating over and over and over again, write how you talk. Write something and then read it out. And if it sounds weird, it's written wrong, and you have to read it out loud. You don't just read it. And since I've started doing that, my writing's gotten a lot better because I read what I write out loud. Because normally I would write something and then I would just sit there in silence. But now I say it out loud, and instantly changing that has made me go, this is weird. This word is unnecessary. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't sound like me. So much clearer. So yeah, I do this every morning. I just kind of, what I'll do is at night I read fiction, and in the morning I read just non-fiction while I have my water. Which apparently is a 75 hard thing, which I've never done or looked into very much, but apparently that's a thing. You read 10 pages of a non-fiction book every morning. I'm like, fuck, 10 pages. That's hard. I probably would have found it hard if I wasn't in the habit of reading. It's something that you learn to do, reading. You know, you don't, like, everyone can read, but knowing how to read a book, to be able to sit down and just like fucking work your way through a book, that is hard. And it comes with practice. So often I see people look at people like, oh, you read so much, how do you read? How do you read? And it's like anything else, man, how does a runner run a kilometer when I can only run 200 meters? They just, you know, I can run, they can run further. It's a skill that you pick up. It's like, you can read, but unfortunately you can only read tweets and posts. You know, if you keep working your way up to books, you'll be able to read books. So after I read, I pretty much just get straight out the door. Because if I get distracted by the phone or the computer or the internet or whatever, I just won't leave. It's one thing that I've really, really tried to be militant about, is just don't touch the fucking phone. You know, to the point where I don't keep it in the house when I sleep. I put it in the garage on charge. I try my very, very, very hardest to make it just a work tool, because I always think back to, like, you know, the best writers in the world, the best comedians in the world, all of the old school guys. They did their job without interruption, without fucking getting a text or a phone call, because you couldn't get that. And that shit wasn't necessary for them to do their job. So I don't think it's necessary for me to be able to do mine. You know, I'm writing and I get an Instagram DM from someone else about some bullshit. It's like, I can look at that at 7 p.m. and respond then. You know, it's not necessary. And since I've started doing that, yeah, I've just been a lot more prolific and also a lot more balanced and less easily distracted in general, because the phone is just this dopamine machine that annihilates your brain. And if it's within arm's reach, you will just use it. You know, they've done studies that say, like, even when we're not looking at our phone, we're thinking about picking it up if it's in arm's reach. So as soon as I read stuff like that, I was just like, I got to keep it out of arm's reach at all times. And that's been great for me. So let's go right. Gonna walk the dog. Bobby, you want to go for a walk? Come here. You want to go for a walk? Come here. Yeah? Can we go for a walk? Let's go for a walk.
Can I pet your dog?
Yes, you can, yeah. I've taken what I wrote in my notebook by hand and I've expanded upon it, and I've got it all here in a Google Doc, and I'm just kind of punching it up, making it flow better, trying to make it as funny as I can. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a video. I don't know if it's like a Substack piece. I'm thinking maybe this will be both. But the point is, I've written something and I'm trying to make it coherent and flow and good. I've kind of, with my writing, what's really helped me is to not even think about where it's going. You know, I'm just trying to make it good, and then I will assign it like a place to go. Because if I sit down and I'm like, I need to write a TikTok, I'm not like, I don't know how to write a TikTok. I know how to write something funny and then be like, oh, this can be a TikTok. If I just sit down and I'm like, I'm going to write a post for Instagram, I'm going to write a YouTube video, like, it's just not how my brain works, because what the fuck is a TikTok? You know what I mean? Like, most of them are not even written at all. It's like crowd work clips or this or that. So instead of trying to figure out where this is going to end up before I even start making it. I just think, do I have something to say? Can I say it in a funny way? And then I do that. And then when that's done, when I'm happy with it, I can go, all right, how will I package this? That's the last step, not the first step. It's like, oh, I'm going to write a book. What will the cover look like? Mate, write the book. Who gives a fuck right now? How many pages will the book have? How many chapters will it be? Shut up. Write the fucking book. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to write the fucking thing. And I'm almost done, actually. And I think it's going to be a Substack piece that I'll probably repurpose to make a main channel video as well, because I think it can resonate well there. Okay, so I finished writing it. Now I have decided it's going to be a Substack article, and then I think tomorrow I'm going to film it as a YouTube video. So what I'm doing now is the most boring part. I need to format it. Sorry about the refresh rate, but I basically am trying to turn the piece into something that looks nice and looks easily readable. So this includes tricking people into reading something long form by including lots of images and making certain sentences big, or using quotes that look like nice, basically breaking up walls of text to give people a little bit of a breather, a place to kind of sit and absorb what they've just read, and then to, essentially breadcrumb them into actually reading the full piece. And of course, for the people who don't like to read, there will be an audio version, and then I'll also make a YouTube video that'll be probably more of a paraphrased, comedic, more performy version of what I've written here. That about wraps up my day. I'm currently reading The Idiot. This is one of the most difficult books I've ever read in my life. It is a slog. I've given up on it twice and then come back to it. There are so many characters. They all have Russian names. It's hard to keep track of who's who and how they relate to the other person. And people disappear and then come back a long time later. It's also very rooted in like 1800s Russian culture and Orthodox Christianity. And just, it references famous articles that were written at the time that the book is based in, that you would only really understand if you were a Russian person that was alive in the exact period that this was being published. And with that said, and how frustrating it is to read and how many times I've given up on it, it is one of the best fucking books I have ever read. I'm almost finished with it, and by that I mean I've got about 3 hours left in the fucking book. It's like a 1,000-page tome. I actually struggled so much with the book that I bought a different translation on the Kindle version, which I'm now having more success with. And also, it's just like, it's kind of a bigger book, so I don't like heavy books. Kindle's just so much easier to read on. And all of that combined with the fact that there is such an ominous feeling and energy when you read this book, because how do I even explain what it's about? It's probably about the most naive man ever who only has good intentions toward other people, who does not lie, and who always assumes the best of other people and assumes that other people are acting the way that he does, which is with good intentions and good faith. And it's about dropping a person like that into high society, backstabbing, lying Russia. And you essentially, as the reader, are watching this beautiful, kind, naive man get taken advantage of and lied to again and again and again, and even bullied by other people for being a good person, and then being treated as a fool for being good. And the book is called The Idiot, and that's what he's constantly referred to is as an idiot. Essentially because he's like this Christ-like person that acts with a very open heart in a very naive way and assumes the best of people constantly to his own detriment. So in many ways, it's a fucking horrible, it's a horrible read. And it's very heartbreaking, and at times brutally and despondently relatable. But that's Fyodor Dostoevsky, isn't it? And as much trouble as I've had with reading this book, I have loved it even more. And if you asked me for a plot summary, like what happened, wouldn't be able to tell you, but it's really good. I honestly would not recommend that you read it. unless you are already like a real Oh my god, can you tell that I did not do the podcast? I can't get a sentence out still. I'm so sick. I would not recommend that you read this unless you are already a real avid reader and you've got a few dozen books under your belt and you're up for a challenge. If you haven't read for a while and you're looking for a new book, do not start with The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. If you want to get into Russian literature and you would like an easier way to dip your toe in, try Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I read that when I was halfway through my surgeries, and it was probably the most heartbreaking book I could have chosen to read. And anyone who's read the book would know why. That's a terrible book to read when you are halfway through a grueling multi-surgery process that changes how you look and how others view you. But yeah, I guess I'll read the blurb of this so you can get a feel. And then we'll say goodbye. Returning to St. Petersburg from a sanatorium, the gentle Prince Mishkin, known as the Idiot, pays a visit to his distant relative, General Yapanshin, and proceeds to charm the general and his family. But his life is thrown into turmoil when he chances on a photograph of the beautiful Natasya Filipovna. Utterly infatuated, he soon finds himself caught up in a love triangle and drawn into a web of blackmail, betrayal, and finally, murder. In Prince Mishkin, Dostoevsky portrays the purity of a truly beautiful soul and explores the perils that innocence and goodness face in a corrupt world. Yeah, I think that's what it's about. It's about, like, what would happen if I dropped a truly good person into a truly corrupt world? And the answer is he doesn't have a good time. But it's a great read. Heartbreaking. So, when I finish this book, man, I'm telling you, dude, I'm cleansing my palate with just like, I'm going to read like 3 Animorphs books, just some simple, no-brain, easy reads. And that's, what is that? That's range, baby. Who do you know that can read classic Russian literature, Fyodor Dostoevsky, and immediately dump into Animorphs books for American teenagers? Yeah, if you haven't read a book in a while, try the Animorphs series. Unironically, brilliantly written, thrilling story, full of body horror and violence, surprisingly. All right, that's it. I'm going to talk to you in a few days. I hope you enjoyed this more relaxed vlog. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with this series when I'm not touring, because that is most of my life. So I'm trying to document, not create. So I hope you enjoy this. I'll talk to you soon.